everybody, today we're going to read a Bible story from the New Testament. We're going to read about the road to Emmaus. So this is after Jesus has risen, and it's some of his disciples walking along a road and talking about what has just happened. So I'm going to read it to you from Luke chapter 24, starting with verse 13. Now on that same day, two of them were going to a village called Emmaus, about 7 miles from Jerusalem, and talking with each other about all these things that had happened. While they were talking and discussing, Jesus himself came near and went with them. But their eyes kept him from recognizing them. And he said to them, "What are you discussing with each other while you walk along?" They stood still, looking sad. Then one of them, whose name was Cleopas, answered him, "Are you the only stranger in Jerusalem who does not know the things that have taken place here these days?" He asked them, "What things?" They replied, "The things about Jesus of Nazareth, who was a prophet, mighty in deed and word before God and all the people, and how our chief priests and leaders handed him over to be condemned to death and crucified him. But we had hoped that he would be the one to redeem Israel. Yes, and besides all this, is now the 3rd day since these things took place. Moreover, some women or a group astounded us. They were at the tomb early this morning, and when they did not find his body there, they came back and told us what they had seen, a vision of angels who said that he was alive. Some of those who were with us went to the tomb and found it just as the woman had said, but they did not see him." And then he said to them, "Oh, how foolish you are, and how slow of heart to believe that the prophets have declared. Was it not necessary that the Messiah should suffer these things and then enter into his glory? The beginning with Moses and all the prophets, he interpreted to them the things about himself in all the scriptures." As they came near the village to which they were going, he walked ahead as if they were going on. But they urged him strongly, saying, "Stay with us, because it's almost the evening, and the day is now nearly over." So he went to stay with them. When he was at the table with them, he took bread, blessed it, and broke it, and gave it to them. Then their eyes were opened, and they recognized him, and he vanished from their sight. They said to each other, "Were not our hearts burning with us while he was talking to us on the road, while he was opening the scriptures to us?" That same hour they got up and returned to Jerusalem, and they found the 11 and their companions gathered together. They were saying, "The Lord has risen indeed, and he has appeared to Simon." Then they told what had happened on the road and how he had been made known to them in the breaking of the bread. So as we just read in that story, there's a lot of movement. They were walking pretty much the whole time they were talking and all of that. So I want you to go on a little walk. At the beginning, I want you to mimic the pace of Cleopas and his friends, as they probably started walking to Emmaus, discussing the sad news. So they probably weren't walking very fast. And then change the pace as they talk with the stranger about Jesus of Nazareth. Stop along your journey and close your eyes. Imagine eating a meal together with the stranger, and then suddenly open your eyes and see Jesus offering your food. So just kind of mimic going along that path with them and how they would have felt as you talk about it. So the disciples longed for Jesus, and as they walked along, they searched for answers about his death. And that's kind of what they were having that discussion with the stranger about. Their searching was somehow satisfied by a stranger who listened to them and listened to them tell stories about their teacher, about Jesus, and how he was a friend to them. But the disciples weren't the only ones who were searching that day. Jesus was searching for them too. And he found them along the path, just as Jesus can find all of us. So where do you look for Jesus today in your everyday life? And where does Jesus find you in your life? And think about these questions. What would happen if you imagined every person you met on the street was Jesus? What stories can you tell each other about Jesus? How has Jesus affected things in your life? How has Jesus touched your life? And what would you say to Jesus if he joined you for a walk? So Jesus came to them and they didn't know who he was. So today's activity I have for you today is to play 20 questions with a Bible character. So somebody come up with a Bible character and everybody else asks questions, trying to figure out who that character is. And if you get up to 20 questions and still haven't figured it out, then you have to tell who you are. So let's close with a prayer. Dear Jesus, thank you for meeting us on the road, through the Bible, and in our hearts, and at the communion table. Amen. So I hope you guys have a great week, and I'll see you in Sunday school. Bye.